Hello everyone. Question is, an administrator is tasked with applying updates to a vSphere cluster running VSA using vSphere Lifecycle Manager. Downtime to the ESXi host must be minimal while the work is completed. The administrator has already completed the following steps and no errors have been returned. Downloaded all applicable software and created a new image. Attached the new image to the cluster and run a compliance check against the image for the cluster. Ran a remediation pre-check for the cluster. Which two series of steps should the administrator perform to start the remediation of the clustering the new image? Choose two options. Option A. First, use the Remediate option in vSphere Lifecycle Manager to remediate all of the ESXi hosts in the cluster in parallel. Second, allow vSphere Lifecycle Manager to automatically control maintenance mode on the ESXi hosts. Option B. First, place each of the ESXi hosts into maintenance mode manually. Second, use the Stage option in vSphere Lifecycle Manager to stage the required software on all ESXi hosts one at a time. Option C. First, leave all ESXi hosts in the cluster operational. Second, use the Stage All option in vSphere Lifecycle Manager to stage the required software onto all ESXi hosts one at a time. Option D. First, leave all ESXi hosts in the cluster operational. Second, use the Stage All option in vSphere Lifecycle Manager to stage the required software onto all ESXi hosts in the cluster in parallel. Option E. First, use the Remediate option in vSphere Lifecycle Manager to remediate all of the ESXi hosts in the cluster in sequence. Second, allow the vSphere Lifecycle Manager to automatically control maintenance mode on the ESXi host. Correct answer is option A and option D. Question is, an administrator is working with VMware support and is asked to provide log bundles for the ESXi host in an environment. The three options the administrator have. Option A. Generate a combined log bundle for all ESXi hosts using the vCenter management interface. Option B. Generate a separate log bundle for each ESXi host using the vSphere host client. Option C. Generate a combined log bundle for all ESXi hosts using the vSphere client. Option D. Generate a separate log bundle for each ESXi host using the vSphere client. Option E. Generate a separate log bundle for each ESXi host using the vCenter management interface. Option F. Generate a combined log bundle for all ESXi hosts using the vSphere host client. Correct answer is option B, C and option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, an administrator needs to consolidate a number of physical servers by migrating the workloads to a software-defined data center solution. Which VMware solution should the administrator recommend? Option A. VMware Horizon. Option B. VMware vSAN. Option C. VMware vSphere. Option D. VMware. Correct answer is option C. Question is, an administrator is tasked with configuring Remote Direct Memory Access RDMA over Converged Ethernet V2 ROCE V2. Which two types of adapters must the administrator configure? Option A. Para-Virtual RDMA adapter. Option B. RDMA network adapter. Option C. Software ISC SI adapter. Option D. Fiber channel over Ethernet FCOE adapter. Option E. Software NVMe over RDMA storage adapter. Correct answer is option B and option E. Question is, an administrator has a host profile named standard config. The administrator wants to change the other host profiles to use only the storage configuration settings that are defined in the standard config host profile. What should the administrator do to make this change? Option A. Export host customizations and import them to the other host profiles. Option B. Copy the storage settings from standard config to all other host profiles. Option C. Duplicate the standard config host profile and only modify the storage configuration settings. Option D. Export the standard config host profile and attach it to the other hosts. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a vSphere cluster has the following configuration. Virtual machines VMs are running production and test workloads. vSphere distributed resource scheduler DRS is enabled. There are no resource pools in the cluster. Performance monitoring data shows that the production workload VMs are not receiving their fully allocated memory when the vSphere cluster is fully utilized. A combination of which two steps could the administrator perform to ensure that the production VMs are always guaranteed the full allocation of memory? Option A. Assign a custom memory share value to the resource pool containing the production VMs. Option B. Assign a memory reservation value to the resource pool containing the production VMs. Option C. Create a parent resource pool for the production VMs. Option D. Create a sibling resource pool for each of the production and test VMs. Option E. Create a child resource pool for the test VMs. Correct answer is option B and option D. Question is, which two data store types store the components of a virtual machine as a set of objects? Option A. VMware Virtual Machine File System VMFS. Option B. VMware vSAN. Option C. Network File System NFS3. Option D. vSphere Virtual Volumes vVols. Option E. Network File System NFS 4.1. Correct answer is option B and option D. Question is, an administrator creates a virtual machine that contains the latest company approved software, tools, and security updates. Company policy requires that only full clones are allowed for server workloads. A combination of which two tasks should the administrator complete to prepare for the deployment of this virtual machine for multiple users? Select two options. Option A. Set appropriate permissions on the virtual machine. Option B. Create a virtual machine customization specification. Option C. Upgrade the virtual hardware. Option D. Convert the virtual machine to a template. Option E. Take a snapshot of the virtual machine. Correct answer is option B and option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, during the staging of a patch on a vCenter appliance, an error was encountered and the process stopped. An administrator resolved the root cause and is ready to continue with the staging of the patch. From the vCenter management interface, which action should the administrator take to continue the process from the point at which the error occurred. Option A. Use the stage and install option to resume the staging. Option B. Use the resume option to resume the staging. Option C. Use the unstage option to restart the staging. Option D. Use the stage only option to restart the staging. Correct answer is option B. Question is, an administrator is adding a new ESXi host to an existing vSphere cluster. When selecting the cluster, the administrator is unable to use the cluster quick start workflow to add and configure the additional host. What could be the root cause of this issue? Option A. The administrator has previously dismissed the cluster quick start workflow. Option B. The administrator must manually add the host to the cluster before using the cluster quick start workflow. Option C. The administrator has not been assigned the required permissions to use the cluster quick start workflow. Option D. The administrator must enable the cluster quick start workflow option in the VMware vCenter. Correct answer is option A. Question is, a company has two sites, Site A and Site B. The administrator would like to manage the VMware vCenter inventories in both sites from a single vSphere client session. Which vCenter feature must be configured? Option A. VMware Certificate Authority. Option B. VMware Site Recovery Manager. Option C. vCenter Single Sign-On. Option D. Enhanced Linked Mode. Correct answer is option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, which three vSphere features are still supported for Windows-based virtual machines when enabling vSphere's virtualization-based security feature? Choose three options. Option A. vSphere vMotion. Option B. PCI Pass-Through. Option C. vSphere High Availability HAD. vSphere Fault Tolerance. Option D. Option E. vSphere Distributed Resources Scheduler DRS. Option F. Hot Add of CPU or memory. Correct answer is option A, C and option E. Question is, an administrator is tasked with moving an application and guest operating system OS running on top of a physical server to a software-defined data center SDDC in a remote secure location. The following constraints apply. The remote secure location has no network connectivity to the outside world. The business owner is not concerned if all changes in the application make it to the SDDC in the secure location. The application's data is hosted in a database with a high number of transactions. What could the administrator do to create an image of the guest OS and application that can be moved to this remote data center? Option A. Create a hot clone of the physical server using VMware vCenter Converter. Option B. Create a cold clone of the physical server using VMware vCenter Converter. Option C. Restore the guest OS from a backup. Option D. Use storage replication to replicate the guest OS and application. Correct answer is option B. Question is, an administrator is tasked with looking into the disaster recovery options from protecting a database server using VMware vSphere replication. The following requirements must be met. The virtual machine must remain online during the protection. The virtual machine's snapshots must be used as part of the replication process. Which step must the administrator complete to accomplish this task? Option A. Configure the virtual machine storage policy. Option B. Enable guest OS VSS quizzing for this virtual machine. Option C. Perform a full initial synchronization of the source virtual machine to the target location. Option D. Configure network traffic isolation for vSphere replication. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, an administrator must gracefully restart a virtual machine VM through the vSphere client, but the option is grayed out. The administrator has full administrative access on VMware vCenter and all the objects available in the vCenter, but has no access to log on to the operating system. Which actions should the administrator take to meet the objective? Option A. Upgrade the virtual hardware. Option B. Migrate the VM to another host. Option C. Install VMware tools. Option D. Restart vCenter. Correct answer is option C. Question is, which feature would allow for the non-disruptive migration of a virtual machine between two clusters in a single VMware vCenter instance? Option A. vSphere vMotion. Option B. Cross vCenter migration. Option C. vSphere storage vMotion. Option D. vSphere fault tolerance. Correct answer is option A. Question is, if a distributed switch uses the route based on physical NIC load balancing algorithm, what does the mean send or receive utilization of an uplink need to exceed for the flow of traffic to move to the second uplink? Option A. 75% of the capacity over a 30-second period. Option B. 60% of the capacity over a 30-second period. Option C. 60% of the capacity over a 40-second period. Option D. 75% of the capacity over a 40-second period. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, after a recent unexplained peak in virtual machine VM CPU uses, an administrator is asked to monitor the VM performance for a recurrence of the issue. Which two tools can the administrator use? Option A. vCenter Management Interface. Option B. Direct Console User Interface DCUI. Option C. vSphere Performance Charts. Option D. vCenter Command Line Interface. Option E. ESXi Cell. Correct answer is option C and option E. Question is, a vSphere environment is experiencing intermittent short bursts of CPU contention, causing brief production outages for some of the virtual machines VMs. To understand the cause of the issue, the administrator wants to observe near real-time statistics for all VMs. Which two vSphere reporting tools could the administrator use? Option A. Advanced Performance Charts. Option B. ESX CLI. Option C. RESX Top. Option D. Overview Performance Charts. Option E. ESX Top. Correct answer is option A and option E. Question is, the administrator is performing maintenance activities and discovers that a virtual machine file system VMFS data store has a lot more used capacity than expected. The data store contains 10 virtual machines VMs, and when the administrator reviews the contents of the associated data store, discovers that 5 virtual machines have a snapshot file delta.vmdk files that has not been modified in over 12 months. The administrator the snapshot manager within the vSphere client and confirms that there are no snapshots visible. Which tasks should the administrator complete on the virtual machines to free up data store space? Option A. Consolidate the snapshots for each VM. Option B. Inflate the disk files for each VM. Option C. Delete all snapshots for each VM. Option D. Storage vMotion each VM to another data store. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is an administrator has mapped 3 vSphere zones to 3 vSphere clusters. Which two statements are true for this vSphere with Tanzu zonal supervisor enablement? Choose two options. Option A. One supervisor will be created in a specific zone. Option B. One supervisor will be created across all zones. Option C. Three supervisors will be created in linked mode. Option D. Individual vSphere namespace will be placed into a specific zone. Option E. Individual vSphere namespaces will be spread across all zones. Correct answer is option A and option D. Question is an administrator is looking to deploy a new VMware vCenter instance. The current environment consists of 75 hosts and is expected to grow up to 100 hosts over the next 3 years. Which deployment size should the administrator select? Option A medium, option B tiny, option C large, option D small. Correct answer is option D. Question is an administrator is creating a content library to manage VM templates and ISO images. The administrator wants to password protect the images and templates and share them with a remote site. Which two tasks must the administrator perform when creating the content library? Option A. Publish the local content library. Option B. Enable the security policy. Option C. Create a subscribed content library. Option D. Select an NFS data store. Option E. Enable authentication. Correct answer is option A and option E. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is when configuring vCenter high availability HA, which two statements are true regarding the active, passive, and witness nodes? Option A. Network latency must be less than 10 milliseconds. Option B. They must have a supported wide area network WAN. Option C. They must have a minimum of a 10 Gbps network adapter. Option D. They must have a minimum of a 1 Gbps network adapter. Option E. Network latency must be more than 10 milliseconds. Correct answer is option A and option D. Question is an administrator enables secure boot on an ESXi host. On booting the ESXi host, the following error message appears. Fatal error 39 secure boot failed. Option A. The kernel has been tampered with. Option B. The trusted platform module chip has failed. Option C. The administrator attempted to boot with a bootloader that is unsigned or has been tampered with. Option D. A package VIB or driver has been tampered with. Correct answer is option A. Question is an administrator wants to allow a DevOps engineer the ability to delete Tanzu Kubernetes grid TKG cluster objects in a vSphere namespace. Which role would provide the minimum required permissions to perform this operation? Option A Administrator. Option B Can view. Option C Owner. Option D Can edit. Correct answer is option D. Question is, what are three options an administrator can configure after creating a vSphere namespace? Option A Backup schedule. Option B Certificates. Option C Storage policies. Option D Update policies. Option E Permissions. Option F Resource and object limits. Correct answer is option C, E and option F. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, after adding a new vSphere ESXi host with identical hardware configuration to an existing vSphere cluster, which task would an administrator complete prior to checking the compliance with an existing host profile? Option A attach the host profile to the new host. Option B duplicate the host profile. Option C copy the host settings from the new host. Option D import the host profile. Correct answer is option A. Question is, an administrator has Windows virtual machines VMs and VMware tools is installed in each VM. The administrator performs a status check of VMware tool using vSphere Lifecycle Manager. What is the VMware tool's status for the Windows VMs if the version of VMware tools has a known problem and must be immediately upgraded? Option A version unsupported. Option B guest managed. Option C unknown. Option D upgrade available. Correct answer is option A. Question is, an administrator is configuring vSphere Lifecycle Manager to install patches to a vSphere cluster. The cluster runs workload virtual machines VMs that are incompatible with vSphere vMotion and therefore cannot be leave migrated between hosts during the installation of the patches. Which configuration in vSphere Lifecycle Manager will allow the administrator to reduce the downtime associated with the patching operation without migrating the VMs? Option A enable distributed power management DPM and set the VM power state to the suspend to disk option. Option B enable quick boot and set the VM power state to the suspend to disk option. Option C enable vSphere high availability HA admission control and set the VM power state to the suspend to memory option. Option D enable quick boot and set the VM power state to the suspend to memory option. Correct answer is option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an administrator is tasked with migrating a single virtual machine VM from an existing VMware vCenter to a secure environment where corporate security policy requires that all VMs be encrypted. The secure environment consists of a dedicated vCenter instance with a 4-node vSphere cluster and already contains a number of encrypted VMs. Which two steps must the administrator take to ensure the migration is a success? Option A ensure that the source and destination vCenter instances share the same key management server KMS. Option B ensure that encrypted vMotion is turned off for the VM. Option C. Ensure that the VM is encrypted before attempting the migration. Option D. Ensure that the VM is powered off before attempting the migration. Option E. Ensure that the source and destination vCenter servers have a different key management server KMS. Correct answer is option A and option C. Question is an administrator has a requirement to revert a running virtual machine to a previous snapshot after a failed attempt to upgrade an application. When the administrator originally took the snapshot, the following choices in the Take Snapshot dialog were made. Snapshot the virtual machine's memory is equals to false quiz guest files. System is equals to false. What will be the result of the administrator selecting the revert to latest snapshot? Option 2. Return the virtual machine to a previous snapshot. Select two options. Option A. The virtual machine will be restored to the parent snapshot. Option B. The virtual machine will be restored in a powered off state. Option C. The virtual machine will be restored to the child snapshot. Option D. The virtual machine will be restored in a powered on state. Option E. The virtual machine will be restored in a suspended state. Correct answer is option A and option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is an administrator decides to restore VMware vCenter from a file-based backup following a failed upgrade. Which interface should the administrator use to complete the restore? Option A. Direct Console User Interface DCUI. Option B. vCenter Management Interface VAMI. Option C. vSphere Client. Option D. vCenter GUI Installer. Correct answer is option D. Question is after a number of outages within a production VMware software-defined data center, an administrator is tasked with identifying a solution to meet the following requirements. Reduce the risk of outages by proactively identifying issues with the environment and resolving them. Reduce the complexity of uploading log bundles when raising support tickets. Which solution should the administrator recommend to meet these requirements? Option A. VMware ARIA operations for logs. Option B. VMware Skyline Advisor Pro. Option C. VMware Skyline Health. Option D. VMware ARIA Operations. Correct answer is option C. Question is an administrator needs better performance and near zero CPU utilization from the ESXi host for networking functions and processing. The administrator creates a new vSphere distributed switch and enables network offload compatibility. Which solution would help achieve this goal? Option A. vSphere Distributed Services Engine. Option B. Data Processing Units DPUs. Option C. vSphere Network I/O Control. Option D. Universal Pass-Through Version 2. Correct answer is option B. Question is what is the role of vSphere Distributed Services Engine? Option A. Provide a live shadow instance of a virtual machine VM that mirror the primary VM to prevent data loss and downtime during outages. Option B. Implement quality of service QoS on network traffic within a vSphere distributed switch. Option C. Provide hardware accelerated data processing to boot infrastructure performance. Option D. Redistribute virtual machines across vSphere cluster host affinity rules following host failures or during maintenance operations. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an administrator is asked to configure a security policy at the port group level of a standard switch. The following requirements must be met. The security policy must apply to all virtual machines on port group 1. All traffic must be forwarded regardless of the destination. Option A. Force transmits set to reject. Option B. MAC address changes set to accept. Option C. Prometheus mode set to reject. Option D. Prometheus mode set to accept. Correct answer is option D. Question is, an administrator is tasked with allowing a single user the ability to take snapshots on a virtual machine. When looking in vCenter, the administrator can see that there are already users and group assigned permissions on the virtual machines as follows. The group VMJJ JJSers has the virtual machine power user role. The group VM viewers has the read-only role. The administrator confirms that the user requesting the additional access is currently one of 5 members of the VM viewers group. Which 2 steps should the administrator take to grant this user the additional access required without impacting the user access of others? Option A. Add the user to the VM_users group and leave the permissions on the virtual machine object unchanged. Option B. Add a new permissions on the virtual machine object, selecting the user and the new custom role. Option C. Edit the read-only role to add the virtual machine's snapshot management privileges. Option D. Create a new custom role with the virtual machine snapshot management privileges. Option E. New permission on the virtual machine object, selecting the VM_viewers group and the new custom. Correct answer is option B and option D. Question is, the vCenter inventory contains a virtual machine VM template called Linux 01. The administrator wants to install a software patch into Linux 01 while allowing users to continue to access Linux 01 to deploy VMs. Which series of steps should the administrator take to accomplish this task? Option A. First, verify that Linux 01 is in a contained library. Second, clone Linux 01. Third, convert the clone to a VM. Fourth, install the software patch. Option B. First, convert Linux 01 to a VM to install the software patch. 3. Convert the VM back to a VM template. Fourth, add Linux 01 to the contained library. Option C. First, verify that Linux 0 is in a contained library. Second, check out Linux 01. Third, install the software patch. Fourth, check the Linux 01. Option D. First, clone Linux 01. Second, convert the clone to a VM. Third, install the software patch. Fourth, convert the VM back to a template. Correct answer is option D. Question is, which step is completed during stage 1 of the vCenter server appliance deployment? Option A. Join a vCenter single sign-on domain. Option B. Create a new vCenter single sign-on domain. Option C. Select the deployment size. Option D. Configure SSH access. Correct answer is option C. Question is, what is the minimum network throughput in GBs for VSAN using the Express Storage Architecture ESA? Option A 50, option B 25, option C 1, option D 10. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an administrator has configured Storage I/O Control SIOC on a virtual machine file system VMFS data store. The data store supports 30,000 IOPS. Storage I/O control has been set to manual. Storage I/O control is triggered when latency hits 30 ms. The data store contains three virtual machines VMs, a gold tier VM, a silver tier VM, a bronze tier VM. Assuming the data store latency does not exceed 29 ms. What is the maximum number of IOPS the bronze tier VM is entitled to? Option A 30,000, option B 20,000, option C 10,000, option D 5,000. Correct answer is option A. Question is, an administrator is asked to segregate virtual machine VM traffic by VLAN on a vSphere standard switch. The following requirements must be met. VLAN ID on the switch port group must be 4095. VLAN tagging must be done at the VM level. Which tagging mode is required? Option A external switch tagging EST. Option B none. Option C virtual guest tagging VGT. Option D virtual switch tagging VST. Correct answer is option C. Question is, an administrator is preparing to perform an update to vSphere clusters that are running vSAN. The administrator wants to ensure that the following requirements are met as part of the update. All hosts in the cluster are updated with the same software. The firmware versions on the host are updated. The new software versions are checked for compliance against the vSAN hardware compatibility list. Which three steps should the administrator take to meet these requirements? Option A configure vSphere Lifecycle Manager with an image for the cluster. Option B register the vendor hardware management system as a vCenter server extension. Option C download the firmware updates from the VMware website. Option D download the firmware updates from the vendor website. Option E run a hardware compatibility check using vSphere Lifecycle Manager. Option F configure vSphere Lifecycle Manager with a baseline for the cluster. Correct answer is option A, B and option E. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, an administrator needs to create affinity rules for the following vSphere cluster setup. The cluster contains two virtual machines VMs named app01 and app02. The cluster contains 6 hosts named ESX11 through ESX16. The app0 and app001 and app02 VMs run software that is licensed to run only on ESX11, ESX12 or ESX13. vSphere Distributed Resource Scheduler DRS is configured. Which set of steps must the administrator perform to ensure that the licensing requirements are met for app01 and app02? Option A first add all the hosts to a host group. Second, create a VM anti-affinity rule for app01 and app02. Option B. First, add the ESX11 to ESX13 host to a host group. Second, create a VM affinity rule for app01 and app02. Option C. First, add the VMs to a VM group and the ESX11 to ESX13 host to a host group. Second, create a VM host required rule between the VM group and the host group. Option D. First, add the VM to a VM group and the ESX11 to ESX13 host to a host group. Second, create a VM host preferential rule between the VM group and the host group. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, which two tasks can be completed using vSphere Lifecycle Manager? Option A. Manage the firmware lifecycle of ESXi hosts that are part of a managed cluster with a single image. Option B. Check that the ESXi hosts are compliant with the recommended baseline and update the host. Option C. Upgrade VMware vCenter from version 7 to 8. Option D. Check the hardware compatibility of the host in a cluster against the VMware Compatibility Guide (VCG) using baselines. Option E. Manage the firmware lifecycle of ESXi hosts or part of a managed cluster using baselines. Correct answer is option B and option E. Question is, an administrator is tasked with implementing a backup solution capable of backing up the supervisor cluster, vSphere pods, and persistent volumes. Which two solutions must be used to meet these requirements? Option A. VMware vCenter. Option B. Standalone Valero and Rustic. Option C. NSX-T Manager. Option D. vSphere Host Client. Option E. Valero plugin for vSphere. Correct answer is option B and option E. Question is, exhibit switch. An administrator configures a distributed switch and adds the first VMware ESXi server to it. The administrator also performs the following activities. The administrator assigns two uplinks to the distributed switch. The administrator enables uplink teaming. When attempting to perform a health check of the teaming policy, the health status of the teaming and failover reports as unknown, as seen in the exhibit. What can the administrator change in the distributed switch for the health status to report correctly? Option A. Add a minimum of 3 hosts with 2 uplinks each. Option B. Add a minimum of 2 hosts with 2 uplinks each. Option C. Add a minimum of 3 hosts with 4 uplinks each. Option D. Add a minimum of 2 hosts with 1 uplink each. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, an administrator is tasked with implementing a backup solution capable of backing up the supervisor cluster, vSphere pods, and persistent volumes. Which two solutions must be used to meet this requirement? Option A. VMware vCenter. Option B. Standalone Valero and Rustic. Option C. NSX-T Manager. Option D. vSphere Host Client. Option E. Valero plugin for vSphere. Correct answer is option B and option E. Question is, what are two use cases for VMware tools? Option A. Time synchronization with an NTP server. Option B. Direct deployment of the ARIA automation config minion. Option C. Share folders between ESXi host and guest OS file systems. Option D. Ability to shut down a virtual machine remotely. Option E. Support for unsupported network device drivers. Correct answer is option B and option D. Question is an administrator runs a two-node vSphere cluster which contains two domain controller virtual machines VMs. The administrator wants to ensure that VMs run on separate hosts without interfering with normal maintenance operations. How should the administrator configure Distributed Resource Scheduler (DRS)? Option A. Create a must-run virtual machines to host anti-affinity rule. Option B. Create a virtual machines to virtual machines anti-affinity rule. Option C. Create a virtual machines to virtual machines dependency rule. Option D. Create a should run virtual machine to host anti-affinity rule. Correct answer is option D. Question is an administrator receives reports from the application team of poor performance of a virtual machine VM. The administrator reviews the virtual machine and discovers that it has 20 snapshots that are over 12 months old. What could the administrator do to improve the VM's performance? Option A. Inflate the base disk to make space for future snapshots. Option B. Revert to the latest snapshot. Option C. Consolidate all of the snapshots into the base VM. Option D. Identify and delete the largest delta.vmdk file. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.